Muy bienvenidos a todos los que nos están acompañando. ¿Cómo están? Muy buenos días. Miércoles 24 de febrero ya, cerrando el mes de febrero y estamos, como pueden ver, con grandes invitados el día de hoy en esta transmisión en vivo a través de Criptohispanos Podcast. Me está acompañando nuestro Alejandro Beltrán, nuestro co-host, y aquellos, por si acaso también sepan, estamos haciendo una transmisión en simultáneo en español, doblada al español, por nuestro otro co-host, Javi Bastardo, así que aquellos que les cueste entender inglés pueden, en el mismo canal de YouTube, ir a la transmisión en vivo que se está haciendo en español para que obviamente puedan seguir las ideas principales que estamos llevando a cabo en este episodio en vivo para hablar de Bitcoin Early Days, TOGs, junto con Charlie y con Guille, como lo pueden ver, ya los tenemos conectados. Antes, Alejandro, ¿cómo estás?
Yo estoy muy feliz, muy feliz. Voy a comenzar saludando al gran Charlie, because we are very happy, because we have two titans of the crypto world present. One of them is from the northern hemisphere, and one is from the southern hemisphere. And it is a pleasure to me introduce the great Charlie Shrem. Charlie, hi, it's an honor to have you here in Criptohispanos. Well, how are you? How's it going?
I'm good. Gracias. Thank you so much for having me. I didn't realize how good my Spanish was when I was listening to the introduction. I understood most of it. It's really great to be here and to talk to some of the coolest people in the room, the brightest crayons in the box, as we say.
Well, and in the other side, we have the honor to have you here, Guille. You don't need introduction. How are you, my friend and boss, Guillermo Torrealba from Buddha.com?
Thank you, Mr. Alejandro. I'm good, man. I'm super good. I'm super stoked to be here. I'm happy. I think this is one of the most interesting talks, Bitcoin talks I've had so far. I mean, it hasn't happened yet, but to be talking here with Charlie, I mean, I'm super happy. Charlie, I'm in this space since early 2014, and there were two people that were incredibly influential in my process of getting to get absolutely convinced that Bitcoin was the future. One was Andreas Antonopoulos, and the other was you. So, man, thank you very, very much for all the material that you've been creating all this time. You're very important for the space. If somebody doesn't know Charlie, you should.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Go and review what this man has been doing for so long. How long have you been in the space?
I'm going to be celebrating my 10-year anniversary in the space.
Wow.
Yeah, very early days. Yeah.
It's been 10 years since I joined the original Bitcoin forums. Actually, I traced back to a few months earlier than that when I joined the Bitcoin IRC network. But back then, all of Bitcoin was just either over IRC Internet Relay Chat or just the Bitcoin forums.bitcoin.org. Like, imagine going on Twitter and typing in the Bitcoin hashtag and seeing nothing, zero. That's what it was like back then. Weird, right?
Yeah, that's amazing. And starting with that point of view, with these early days that Guille was asking to Charlie, which was the keys between the ecosystem in the early days and the ecosystem today? Because with 10 years having in this ecosystem, I think, Charlie, that the topics, what the people are talking about Bitcoin have changed, no?
Yeah, it's changed 100%. It changes constantly. Every few months, the narratives and the story are changing. But the core messaging is always still there. It's not that the narrative and the messaging is changing. It's just the space is getting bigger. So there's more being talked about. So if there was 5 people talking about something before about Bitcoin, and now we look and we say, oh, I can't see people talking about Bitcoin anymore. It's not because those 5 people aren't talking about Bitcoin. It's now that there's 50 people talking about crypto and 25 are talking about Bitcoin, 25 about something else. It's just growing so fast and so big.
Amazing. And for your side, Guille, what was those early days that you have in 2014 and today? Having, of course, reviewing all the growth that Buddha has this almost 6-7 year.
I'm sort of conflicted with this because in some aspects the scenario has changed a lot. For instance, in terms of regulation, like Buddha.com now it's pretty much a regulated entity in Colombia. That this was unthinkable back then. But on the other side, I feel that the thing, like the other day, I was watching this interview that I gave, like one of my first interviews I gave like 6-7 years ago, and I was pretty much saying the same thing. I was like, damn, like I haven't evolved anything, or like the base message hasn't changed. And the other thing is that as Bitcoin has cycles, what I see is that also the rhetoric and the stories being talked about are also cyclical. Like we're starting to hear again the same things that we heard in the bull run of 2017, and the same things that I used to read that were talked in the bull run of 2013. So I guess that, as Charlie said, like it has changed a lot, but the main aspects of it hasn't changed pretty much at all. So it's like it's a side talk that changes a lot, but the main thing is still there, and it's still pretty much the same thing, which is good because it means that it has always been very clear which was the path.
Well, I need to confess that my first presentation about Bitcoin was really fucked up. I screwed up, and then I didn't want, or I really didn't understand what was the point about the technology. But for me, I understood it in the introduction of economics. But in this situation, in the economics and what Charlie mentioned about the narratives of Bitcoin, what do you think, Charlie, that is the narratives about Bitcoin today? Was it considered a store of value at the beginning, or that emerged over time?
Yeah, good question. So no one really knows how something becomes a medium of exchange and store of value over a long term. We study it, we look at it, we read textbooks, we investigate history. But if you look at the currencies that have been that or like if you look at what a certain amount of humans or people have used as their non-fiat currency over time, it's not easy to create a currency. You look at the ones like just the ones that we all know about, gold and silver. If you actually go and look about like why gold and silver originally had value, and you go back to the years 0 to 1000, read about the years 1000 to 2000 in medieval England, understand why certain kings' money were better than other kings' money, why counterfeiting and double spending were a real thing back with silver coins. So the issues that we have with money is not new. The issues that we have with money have been around for a very long time. Humanity's always been looking for the perfect money, right? Like natural selection is a real thing. At the end of the day, the fittest are going to keep going. It's the reason that fish have fins and scales and they can breathe underwater. It's the reason why we can breathe air, because we adapt to the environment around us. And I think that over time, we've realized in this country, at least from the world that we live in now, fiat currency, or currency by decree, in that you have a government and you have institutions that manage that, that may not be the best form of not just money, but financial infrastructure for the digital world of today. And simply because the inefficiencies that you have with money can't be solved by government. The inefficiencies that you have with money could only be solved by the market. And right now, one of the only reasons that Bitcoin and all of crypto will continue to appreciate and grow is because in the world today, it is the true only free market. It is the only place where you can get settlement finality. You can get without needing to trust a single person. And that's what Bitcoin provided to Wall Street now. And so that's why that narrative has never changed. You know, you were saying that narrative never changed. I agree with you, because they're finally realizing it. Going back to 10 years ago when we said we need money that we can not counterfeit, not double spend. You don't have one person controlling it. You can send money to anywhere and in the world. You can have the ability to protect against inflation. You can create your own global savings account. All those things are great. But now the world wants it. And the world wants this. We want instant payments. We want to be able to, Alejandro, I want to send you value right now. How would I do that pre-crypto? It'd be impossible.
Please send to me. Send to me, please.
Yeah, right. The world wants this. And because the world wants this, governments can't provide it fast enough and bring it to market. And that's why crypto will be de facto the most, and Bitcoin will be the store of value, the global currency, the global hedge that will exist in the world. It'll just be known. People will be born and they'll know that Bitcoin is a digital store of value that has value, and it exists, and it's a unit of exchange, and it's settlement finality, simply because for the last 100 years, it has been, and it has not broken. And then we can build amazing technologies on top of all of that. And that's what we're seeing blockchain 2.0 and the layer 2 products and DeFi and different blockchains. It's all experimentation. It's beautiful. It's creating efficient markets. So that narrative never changed. It's just now finally being appreciated, and that narrative and the stories and the understanding is finally accepted by the institutions and the Wall Streets and the banks and the people and the governments that we know today.
It's interesting, Charlie. How important would you say that Bitcoin was appeared after the last big economic crisis? How important was the timing? Because for my story, Bitcoin had the main reason why Bitcoin made sense. The first reason why it clicked me, it was because we needed the internet of money, right? We needed a currency that was native to the internet, which didn't bother about borders, about countries, that had the same properties that internet had, and then the narrative of this more fairer, but the better money, the better. It clicked me second. It first clicked this. We need a money, a medium of exchange that has the same properties as internet, and then it clicked. But it clicked me because in Chile we had 600% inflation when I was very small. But we had 600% inflation, and many of the things that are happening in political arena here in Chile, still remember that scenario. So it clicked me more than I think that it would click somebody from the United States that has never had 600% inflation. But you had a super large crisis. So how important was the timing in which Bitcoin appeared? Like, would it have had the same impact if it had appeared, I don't know, 2005?
That's a very good question. And a lot of people go back and forth. Some people will say, you know, some people will say that Satoshi may have invented Bitcoin many years before. And in fact, the timing of it was done on purpose. Some people will say, no, it all kind of worked out perfect. Some people will say that Bitcoin was created by God or by aliens and the timing was known. No one will ever know. We'll never know. But I will say this, the disenfranchisement that was happening in the United States in 2009 was the deepest financial insecurity that people ever felt. I feel that even what's going on now with the coronavirus is, yeah, it's financial insecurity, but it was just as bad in 2008, 2009, especially because the housing market crashed so much back then in the United States that it was like perfect timing for Bitcoin to start being talked about, to come out and start being experimented, because you had like a lot of disenfranchisement, right? So it's a very good question. But to go back to your first statement, I remember what clicked for me with Bitcoin was I remember saying to myself, I was using PayPal a lot and PayPal kicked me out. And I said, here I am. I'm like the perfect customer. I'm just someone, you know, I'm in university. I live in New York. What's wrong with me? Why am I being kicked out of PayPal? I'm like the perfect customer. I'm 21 years old. What's the problem? And it turned to me that it doesn't matter. Like, you don't need to be a supermax prisoner or a terrorist or sanctioned or any of these things, or like you don't need to be a crazy outlier person to be pushed out of the normal financial system. Getting bank loans, mortgages, accounts. Most people have to struggle in that financial system one way or another throughout the course of their life. And these are not bad people. This is all of us. And this is just in the United States. In your countries, oh my God, the inflation, the banking system, the corruption, it's pales in comparison to what in the United States we have to deal with. You talk about inflation, we flip out when the price of coffee goes up from $1 to $1.10. So you're right. We've not dealt with the inflation, and the timing of Bitcoin and crypto was perfect. But what clicked for me, like you said, was I was like, whoa, why am I being kicked out of PayPal? And so that was to me like, we need a better way of money here. I'm just trying to like hustle. I'm trying to like make some money on the internet, sell airline vouchers for Bitcoin. I'm trying to just get out of my parents' basement, you know, get some financial independence for myself. And I can't even do that on PayPal.
Can I tell a very short story? But I was already in Bitcoin. Buddha was I had already started Buddha, and we expanded to Colombia. Colombia was our first country outside Chile, and it wasn't because of this reason. But then when we got to Colombia, we opened the first bank account. Two things happened in the banking infrastructure in Colombia, which blew my mind. First, we had this bank account and we tried to access it in a Saturday. And the bank account, the website, threw us a text, an error that said that our bank account wasn't accessible until Monday, 8 o'clock in the morning. And it was like, what the fuck, man? Yeah. It's a website. And then second, it costs like at least $2 plus 0.4% to make any bank transfer from bank account to bank account. And that's something that I think that is not very different from the United States, but it's very different from Chile, where bank transfers are instant and free. But yeah, man, I mean, internet money, it's like today's internet money is really bad money. Is really, really bad money. So
yeah, because you have to focus on how do you because you're in your countries, and then these are like arbitrary borders that are set up by like lakes and rivers most of the time and mountains. So like, why do you have to, you cross the mountain and there's like a whole different money, sometimes a different language and culture. And so that's another conversation of topic that I think I think the fighting and the hatred that we all have with each other is also created by the powers that be, and they want us to come at each other all the time. But you're right. Money is very inefficient. Even today, like I run vacation rental businesses, and I have to pay a lot of people constantly, and it's a lot of small amounts, like a few $100s here. I have dozens of people that work for our family business, and it just takes so much time. It takes so much time to move money around. It takes days, and it makes no sense. If you talk to any developer, any engineer of anything, an engineer building hydroelectric dams or nuclear power plants, or you talk to anyone building anything, building boats, or you talk to people who build aircraft or spacecraft, NASA, what do they tell you? The first thing they try to do is bring down is the efficiency of time. If anything is slowed down because of an inefficiency somewhere, it breaks everything. Think about if there was an inefficiency in time from when you push the button to turn the space shuttle on and the fire to turn on the rocket. Dude, everyone would die. 1 millisecond. So we care about, but why is our money inefficient? I'll tell you why. The reason our money is inefficient is because it's the last way the powers that be can control us. They can't control us with information anymore. We're doing this. We're podcasting. We're going live. Elon Musk, I just ordered Starlink. I'll be able to go on the internet without an internet service provider. I go straight to satellites. We're all going to be doing that net soon. What's the last way they can control us? You guys answer this question. You don't need me to answer this.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point of view, and I totally agree with that statement that you told us. And there is another part. There is a part of this one that are in the side of trying to control us, if what we can tell in terms of true trade regulations. For what we can saw the last years, regulators, from my point of view, have been changing their narratives. But how was it work? It was work with them in the early days. They understand right now what is Bitcoin, what is cryptocurrencies, what they can use, or they are definitely don't understand and trying to control it, as you already said, Charlie.
I think if I understand correctly, you're asking me like how that's all changed kind of like over time.
Through for the regulators.
Yeah, it's a good question. So it's everything that I just said. The regulators are not the bad guys here either. It's the regulators just are doing their job. The most government employees, they're just doing their job. Banks, just doing their job. I talk to a lot of regulators. Most of them are good people. And let me tell you something. Most of these regulators love crypto too. They're on our side, but they have to balance to, I think at the end of the day, most people are born good. And there's something in us that wants to leave this world better than we joined it. I don't know. Maybe that's not true, but for me and for most people I spoke to, if there's that basic fact, and we could say like most people are good and want to help other people, then it doesn't matter what we think about everyone, because at the end of the day, as long as what we're trying to do is good, as long as what we're doing with cryptocurrency is not scams, is not frauds, it's not negative things, we're going forward to be positive, then the world will be with us. The regulators, the governments, they'll all be with us. If what we're focusing on is bringing people out of poverty, if we're allowing people to start businesses out of their basements and be able to not just accept payments, but build software that has built into the software the ability for the developer who's in Chile, who's in Argentina, who's in Mexico to be able to make this money. And then the software pays them. I mean, that is, come on. Where in the world did we ever have the capability? I think that I think crypto and Bitcoin, we are on the verge of unlocking brain capacity in all of us that we're never able to unlock before. We're going to be able to think and act on higher levels in the next 10 years than humanity's ever been able to act before. I'm so confident about that.
Well, that's very interesting, Charlie, because in terms of what regulation or public institutions think about Bitcoin and about technologies in general, we want, or we always want to have this kind of idea that revolution the industry, whatever industry you want. So I would like to ask you, so what is your most revolutionary or idea that you would like to develop? Actually, are you the after Charlie and the before of Charlie Shrem? Are you this kind of revolutionary guy as when you started, and this is not? Yes, or and why?
No,
Why
because
do you think?
when I got first started in Bitcoin, I was very young, stupid, and naive, and I was very angry with a fervor. I don't really have that anymore in terms of like the negativity aspect of it. I'm not going out and like preaching that we need to like take down the Federal Reserve or take down banks or, you know, do that stuff. It's more of the opposite. I'm either supporting builders, I'm either building it myself, or I'm talking about it, about actually creating the tools, the software, the hardware, creating all of this, building it, and then allow people to use it to create their own sovereignty. So like a good example of that is I'd love to see a full-on financial system actually sitting on top of the blockchain. And I don't mean just like moving money around. I mean the ability to go and say, I want to build a house. Let me borrow money against that. I want to start a business. Let me do. There's so many things that powers liquidity of the financial world. You can remove corruption. There's a lot of corruption out there. We've become desensitized to it. For example, my friend owns a car in Egypt. In Egypt, there's a law that you have two types of license plates. You can have one type where you pay an egregious amount of taxes that no one can afford, or you can have a license plate for your car where you basically pay smaller amount every month, and then every 6 months you have to ship your car out of the country and then ship it back. All the shipping companies are owned by the government and the army, not only and who makes the laws. Not only that, but furthermore, there's a government-owned free port where you can pay to keep your car stored for a month, pay, and then that's okay. That goes around the law. Also owned by the government. Why doesn't the government just remove the law? So Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, what it does is all of these financial transactions are now on a blockchain. All of these software instruments can be connected to financial instruments on the blockchain. And so people can not just develop better systems, but they can talk about things that happen there, and they can take all of those people who are in poverty because they have their car in Egypt, but they have to pay all this money every 6 months just to live. If you give them the ability to not have to worry about stuff like that anymore, and then the governments are pressured to remove the laws because people know about it, then I feel like that could change the world, hopefully.
Nice, Charlie. What about you? Guille? The guy I knew 5 years ago, and he was a revolutionary guy. He was with his angry face, trying to change the world through Bitcoin. What about the Guille 5 years ago and the current Guille?
I think, as I said in the beginning of the interview, it hasn't changed much. I haven't evolved. No, but I mean, I tend to agree with Charlie. I don't think people are doing. I don't believe in puppeteers. Like there's nobody really like moving all the strings and has like these malicious intentions. The world is how it is because of incentives and because how power is distributed, and power is distributed in one way or another, because the system is complex, and we're built of billions of cells, and then we're billions of people, and what comes out of this is it's complex. So what I think that Bitcoin is doing is taking from us the ability to take advantage of other people in the realm of money, in the realm of, and that hasn't changed in the past 7 years. I don't think banks will disappear. I don't even want banks to disappear. I don't even feel that much better person than a banker. I just feel that I'm coming from another point. And the same
I
thing
agree with that.
for,
The negative narratives were stupid, of like the anti-bank and the anti-this. It's not a good. Yeah, I agree with you.
But it's not. But I'm not only saying it like strategically. I do feel that if I was in the banker's shoes, I might be doing something similar, but I wasn't. I got to know Bitcoin when I was 23, 24. I didn't have much power, so I think I'm gonna try to answer something that you asked, Charlie, and was regarding regulators. Regulators, we talk as regulators as if we was one organized institution, and they're built by people, and some regulators are coming in faster than others. And the huge difference between 7 years ago and now is that 7 years ago, no institution, no government institution in the countries where we operate had wanted to have anything to do with Bitcoin. And today, a lot. I mean, Bitcoin or fintech laws are coming out, and it's a matter of time. And the thing that makes me feel comfortable about the pace at which this is going, because sometimes I say I wish this was going faster, but you know what? We're trying to change. We're trying to change money. I mean, this is not supposed to be easy. This is not supposed to be fast. This is a building block that is way in the base of all this society. So this is supposed to take us a long time. We are supposed to have a lot of these conversations for the world to, because maybe we're wrong. I don't think so, but maybe we're wrong. So this is supposed to be hard. So my position hasn't evolved that much, but I'm super optimistic because a lot has happened in only 7 years.
I agree with that. And
I like this guy. That's great. Yeah. I completely agree with you.
I'm totally agree with Guille too. So we know that Charlie needs to go right now. So Charlie, just one last question. What is the afterthought to Charlie by having the government against you when you face the opportunity to change the world through Bitcoin? How does you see that position that you have that time compared to the current open minds of central banks and private banks today?
I want to look. Hang on one second. I'm not leaving you yet. I want to look for a. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
I want to look for this term in Spanish. El destino es inexorable.
Inexplorable.
Inescapable.
Inescapable.
I pronounced it wrong, but my point still stands. And I guess the answer to the question is when I think I realized very early on that this was my fate. And when I got arrested, and I came over the initial shock of it. Oddly enough, I didn't fight it. I just accepted my fate. And I said, I'm 22 years old. This is what's coming. I'm going to have to go through this whole process of house arrest for years, and then I'm going to have to go to court and fight for my freedom. And I know that I'm a good person. I know that I'm true. And I know that a judge and jury will see me as a good person, and I'll be okay. That I knew. I knew fate would bring me back to Bitcoin, but I knew there was a good chance that I may have to have been, I don't know, like sold into slavery for a while, or be go off somewhere else and have to do something else before I can come back. And to be honest with you, I needed that. I needed prison. I needed the humility training, the training. I needed God to rip the pride out of me, because pride is not good. Ego is not good. And I had a lot of it. I was really bad. And so, like, I'm very grateful and thankful for the experience that I've been able to have. If I look back over the last 10 years of my life, I wouldn't trade it for anything. I wouldn't trade it for anything, because with all the bad came so much good. Just one example, I was dating someone at the time, and when I got arrested, she really showed me who she was. She visited me in prison every single week. She was my lifeblood, my best friend, and now we're married, and we're married for almost 4 years. Like, that would have never happened. I would have never met my life partner if I had never gotten arrested. So I got to look at the good things, not the bad things. Wow. And thank you guys for having me today. I really appreciate it.
No, amazing,
Awesome.
amazing, Charlie.
Awesome.
Thanks. Yeah, very good. I don't know how can you say tengo la piel de gallina in English?
Chicken skin.
I have I am chicken skin right now. So, well, thank you so much, Charlie. We know that you have to leave, and very appreciated that you have been with us, share your thoughts, share your point of views. Thank you. We hope that we can share with you in the near future in this podcast.
Oh yeah, I just looked up the that quote that you just said. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you. I can't wait to be back on your show soon, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Charlie.
Bye, Charlie.
Thank you guys. Thanks for inviting me.
Meeting you.
Guille, nos quedamos contigo. Nos cambiamos al español. Guille, impresiones. ¿Qué te pareció esta? Oye, de verdad, podría mostrar, tengo la piel de gallina, la última palabra que dijo. Bueno.
Impresionante.
O sea, 22 años, esa madurez de enfrentar esa situación, tremendo, man. Y con la justicia norteamericana, man.
Y en un contexto mucho más difícil que ahora, porque si es que ahora te meten preso por algo relacionado a Bitcoin, hay un montón de gente que te va a apoyar. En ese momento no había tanta gente, no, en ese momento había muy poca gente. Entonces, no, impresionante.
Él quedó solo en una parte de la historia. Dice, nadie ni me ayudó, ni sabía. En una parte de la historia me parece súper interesante las reflexiones que tiene él, porque al final pues no es un tema de arrepentimiento. Si no le hubiera pasado todo eso, pues no tendría lo que hoy tiene. Yo creo que son también reflexiones que yo he tenido también mucho a nivel personal sobre todos estos altibajos que uno tiene estando en Bitcoin, y con todas las dificultades que se presentan, todo lo que uno se cuestiona de si continuar acá. Esto es una cuestión de perseverar, de aguante, de golpes, de que te vuelves a parar. No, súper inspirador el cierre de Charlie en ese contexto. Me alegra mucho, y creo que también hoy este especial que nosotros tenemos nos dio la gran visión que tiene una persona como Guille desde el contexto latinoamericano, desde su experiencia y también desde las dificultades que vivió, obviamente, en otro tipo de situaciones y contextos. Pero ver este paralelo que tiene con Charlie, hay muchas cosas que también hay en común, de acuerdo con los retos que tiene la industria y los individuos que pertenecemos a la industria como tal. Y eso me parece que da un espacio muy, muy grande para compartir muchas ideas y para seguir construyendo de forma conjunta una industria que definitivamente es inminente hoy en día y que ya la vemos, ya la ven con otros ojos quienes en algún momento fueron detractores.
Y en esa misma línea me gustaría conocer de ti, Guille, qué es esa motivación, qué es lo que te lleva a seguir en este ecosistema donde me imagino que al principio los cuestionamientos eran fuertes, eran de todas estas barreras que voy viendo, de todas estas murallas que me voy viendo de frente, tanto en Chile, en Colombia, en Argentina, en Perú. ¿Qué es lo que te llama a seguir empujando Buda, a seguir dándole esta posibilidad a las personas de entrar a este ecosistema? ¿Qué es lo que te llama la atención y qué es lo que te motiva ese día a día? Porque eso es importante conocer también de parte tuya.
Yo creo que parte tiene que ver con personalidad. Yo siempre tuve una pizca de paladín en mí. Paladín como el que está siempre tratando de hacer el bien. Fui bombero, que después descubrí que tenía mucho de hueveo, de pasarlo bien, pero, pero inicialmente la motivación fue ayudar y trabajé en fundaciones y entonces Bitcoin para mí cumple ese rol. Y luego, ¿sabes que hay algo motivante en los detractores de Bitcoin? Y no sé si les pasa a ustedes, pero encuentro tan básicos y en el fondo tan errados los argumentos y que no han cambiado en nada, que para mí es una prueba de que esto va. Entonces se mezcla esto de que realmente creo que Bitcoin le va a quitar a la humanidad un poder que nunca debió haber adquirido, que es el de controlar el dinero, porque el dinero es la representación de fenómenos humanos en los cuales cualquier intervención externa afecta a cómo esta información se ve representada. Entonces creo que Bitcoin le hace un bien a la humanidad inmenso, al mismo tiempo que veo que los detractores o tienen incentivos evidentemente entre financiados o perversos, o están confundidos. Entonces, eso, como que eso se vuelve un combustible. Y por último, es muy entretenido emprender en sí mismo y Buda es una empresa, bueno, viene de cerca el comentario, pero Buda es una empresa a la raja, lo pasamos muy bien en Buda. Entonces, yo creo que trabajar en Buda es objetivamente más entretenido que trabajar en prácticamente cualquier otra empresa. Y de hecho lo he pensado cuando he estado realmente estresado y he dicho, ¿sabes qué? ¿Qué pasa si es que hago otra cosa? Y esto lo he conversado incluso con mi mujer. Y mi mujer me dice, no, puta, aquí ya estás estresado. Pero ¿qué más vaya a hacer? ¿En qué otro mundo vaya a encontrar algo tan entretenido y que te apasione tanto como Bitcoin? Si lo pasáis mal porque te apasiona, van juntos, puta, lo lamento, pero es la otra cara de la misma moneda.
Es como un crimen pasional.
Sí.
Es como un consumo de una relación perversa y terrible.
Como lo que se dice la tóxica.
la tóxica.
Sí.
Totalmente.
Hay una canción de reggaetón muy buena.
No te vas a poner a cantar reggaetón ahora, por
No,
favor,
no, pero quiero dejarla para nuestros criptohispanos.
Pero quiero
que sea
tararearla.
un símbolo, sí. Oye, Guille, por último, para ir cerrando este gran episodio que tuvimos, la verdad me pareció, creo que ha sido el mejor episodio que hemos tenido y el que nos ha marcado, yo creo que a varios de acá en estas reflexiones. ¿Cuál es el pensamiento de este post-Guille de tener a los bancos e inclusive a las instituciones públicas contra tu idea, contra tu proyecto, contra tu sueño, contra tu meta? Y cuando ellos, digamos, cuando tienes la oportunidad de cambiar el mundo a través de Bitcoin, yo creo que todos los que entramos acá nos terminamos cuestionando algo del sistema actual. ¿Cómo ves esa posición que tenías antes comparada con lo que supuestamente hoy vemos de una mente mucho más abierta de los bancos centrales y de los bancos privados?
no ha cambiado tanto. Siempre cuento la misma historia. Cuando Buda ha levantado plata 3 veces, pero siempre con los mismos inversionistas. Entonces hemos tenido poca... Costó mucho levantar plata por primera vez, pero luego cuando necesitamos capital por ese motivo ha costado poco. Pero la primera vez que tuvimos que convencer a una persona, nos costó mucho. Buda no teníamos plata, yo no me pagaba sueldo. Honestamente, tirando para atrás, no sé cómo lo hicimos, pero llevábamos más de un año tratando de lograr esto. Y teníamos un inversionista, el primer inversionista, que estaba a punto de decir que sí. Y dijo, y nos hicieron una pregunta. Y me dijeron, ya, Guillermo, pero ¿cuál es el riesgo más grande de esto? Y a mí me dolió la guata, me dolió el estómago decirlo, pero honestamente era lo que creía. Yo le dije, el riesgo más grande de este negocio es que se nos van a tirar encima todos los bancos y todos los reguladores. Ya, cuéntame un poco más porque me interesa saber cómo es esto en el contexto que estoy metiéndole plata a tu empresa. Bueno, ya hablamos y les expliqué que el cambio que estaba proponiendo Bitcoin era muy estructural, iba a encontrar mucha resistencia, pero en la medida que nosotros fuéramos capaces de educar y en la medida que pasara suficiente tiempo y que la gente escuchara Bitcoin suficientes veces, eventualmente iba a cuajar, íbamos a superar el desafío. Y siempre y cuando nosotros en Buda hiciéramos el trabajo muy, 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 muy bien, cosa que nunca existiera un real argumento para el regulador de cerrar la empresa, no iban a poder hacerlo. Y eso lo demostramos con el banco. La pelea que nosotros tuvimos con los bancos en Chile, se la anticipamos a los inversionistas años antes. No, eso no fue para nada una sorpresa. No fue una sorpresa para el equipo, no fue una sorpresa para nosotros, no fue una sorpresa para el inversionista, no fue una sorpresa para nadie. Pero estábamos tan tranquilos. Esto me acuerdo. Nos cerraron las cuentas. Buda pasó de tener ingresos altos o bajos, es relativo, pero a tener ingresos un día y al día siguiente tener 0 ingresos. No sé si la gente entiende lo que significa tener 35 empleados y que la empresa pase a tener 0 ingresos sin la posibilidad de tener ingresos, porque no es solo que nos cambiáramos de banco, 0. Y nosotros estábamos muy tranquilos de que nos iba a ir bien. ¿Y por qué estábamos muy tranquilos? Porque habíamos hecho todo lo que se suponía que había que hacer. Entonces, esto es algo que va a tomar tiempo. Esto es algo que se supone que va a tomar tiempo. No ha cambiado tanto mi posición. Mi posición se ha ido volviendo más fácil. Al principio era muy difícil porque sabía que se me venían muchas peleas y ahora como que las estoy viendo un poco más hacia atrás. Así como, ya, las tuvimos. Buenas, pero se vienen otras más adelante. Pero está pasando lo que era obvio que iba a pasar. No, esto no puede ser fácil.
Yo todavía estoy un poco magullado de los golpecitos, pero ahí voy.
Tengo una cicatriz por acá.
Ya no está tan hinchado.
Por acá. Sí, tal cual. Sí, acá sí, igual, obvio.
Es difícil. Más en ese rubro que, bueno, hemos conocido, ha sido difícil ya en todas partes del mundo y creo yo desde este punto de vista humilde, de estar fuera del negocio, obviamente, del intercambio, que han hecho un gran labor todos aquellos que están emprendiendo en esa área en particular, porque si realmente no hubiésemos tenido la posibilidad o se hubiesen dejado ganar por esta pelea, este gallito con los reguladores, con los gobiernos, no sé si obviamente hubiésemos tenido la posibilidad de adoptar tan fuerte Bitcoin en sí. Hubiese sido obviamente, pero quizás a un menor ritmo. Y creo que el trabajo de Guille, de Alejo, de todos aquellos que emprenden en este ecosistema es parte fundamental para ver lo que estamos viendo hoy día y dar la vuelta a este gallito y darse cuenta a los gobiernos reguladores que efectivamente no, esto ya está para quedarse. Y creo que ya se dieron cuenta, la narrativa cambió. La narrativa del 2017-2018 es totalmente distinta a la narrativa que estamos viendo hoy día. Mismo Charlie lo dijo, los reguladores, o sea, es la persona detrás del regulador, le gusta cripto. Lo vimos el año pasado con las declaraciones del minuto que estaba el jefe de la SEC y de la UCC, que era muy pro cripto, pero obviamente tenían que adoptarse a lo que es la institucionalidad detrás de un gobierno, de un aparato público, que es obviamente limitar operaciones, hacer procesos de regulación, pero sus declaraciones personales siempre fue en favor de cripto. Así que es interesante ese punto de vista que planteó Charlie, de lo cual totalmente estoy también de acuerdo. Y ya la narrativa cambió, creo que eso es algo bien, bien positivo, bien interesante. Y bueno, eso quería solamente incorporar, añadir como palabra final, idea final. Alejandrochi, ¿alguna idea final para despedirnos?
Que se alimenten muy bien, que realmente coman muy bien. Estamos todavía en sus casas, que se cuiden mucho. No tengo más
Perfecto.
reflexiones, no tengo más palabras, estoy sin palabras, estoy anonadado por esta
Oye,
gran episodio que tuvimos en Criptohispanos. Agradecemos a todos la audiencia que estuvo presente, a Javi por apoyarnos desde el backstage.
eso, verdad.
Con
El
todo,
doblaje en español en directo.
sí, con una traducción un poco más venezolana, más así con expresiones un poco más venezolanas. Espero que no haya dicho ninguna grosería, ninguna vulgaridad, pero nada, les agradecemos mucho a Guille. Como siempre, nuestra mayor admiración y nuestro mayor respeto por todo lo que estás haciendo por la industria. Creo que no hay que dar muchas palabras de que eres un gran referente en América Latina y espero que lo seamos alrededor del mundo también. Hay que invadir otros países. Vamos a hacer una invasión bien buena. Guille, mil gracias y te mando un gran abrazo. Y Cristo, mi chief de Criptohispanos, mejor dicho, todo el mundo me manda ahora, yo soy simplemente un súbdito lacayo.
No.
Un gran abrazo a todos.
Recuerden, el jueves mañana 25 en Clubhouse Bitcoin, nosotros se lo dijimos, está como un programa aparte de Café Bitcoin también, así que a partir de las 9 de la noche, Chile, Argentina, 8 de Venezuela, Bolivia, 7 de la tarde de Colombia, Panamá, Perú, 6 de la tarde de México, estaremos los 3 criptohispanos, Javi, Alejo y yo, conversando, hablando sobre Bitcoin, así que únanse mañana. Si es que necesitan invitaciones, nos solicitan por Twitter, están nuestro handle, por lo menos yo tengo aquí mi handle, lo voy a mostrar de inmediato, ahí está, @ChristPereiraG, y de esa manera les mandamos invitaciones, me quedan algunas todavía, así que me solicitan por Twitter y los dejamos invitados para mañana, jueves 25, Clubhouse, así que nada, pues a conversar, a platicar ahí una horita con respecto a Bitcoin en español, todos abiertos a que puedan hacer sus preguntas, conversar. Por ahí tenemos a Víctor que nos dijo que ganas de tomarse un café, bueno, o alcohol, si se pudiera, con Guille y Chris, hablar de las historias de cripto en Chile. Bueno, puedes unirte, Víctor, a mañana a Clubhouse y bueno, conversamos de esto y más temas mientras dure esta pandemia, obviamente, y ya tengamos seguridad de poder juntarnos. Guille, muchas gracias, doctor
Gracias
Beltrán.
a usted.
Nos estamos viendo en una próxima transmisión, episodio de tu podcast preferido sobre Bitcoin, cripto, blockchain en español, Criptohispanos. Hasta la próxima. Chao.
Chao.